You are listening to the $35 Journey with Dr. Ayanna of Dr. Ayanna SKM.com and Inga Harmon of KeepItMoving.com. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Ayanna of Dr. Ayanna SKM.com and Inga Harmon of KeepItMoving.com. And this is the $35 Journey, and we focus on sisterhood, interdependence, entrepreneurship, and living an abundant life. And today we're coming back to talk about vision, step one of vision. I think the last time that we met, when we had the introduction for the podcast, we kind of gave you a preview of what we were going to talk about today, and that is vision. So I'm really excited to do that. And so I'm going to hand the mic over to Inga, who is going to start this topic, and we're going to get into it. So Inga, you got the stage, babe.
Hello, world. This is Inga again, coming at you, from my mouth to your ear hole. Let me not be so country. Okay, so we're talking about vision today, and I want to start out by defining what vision is. The state of being able to see. We know, just being able to see in general. But let's go a little further. The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. My idea, I saw a quote the other day that actually more defined it to me, which is vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. That's by Jonathan Swift. And so we want to talk about, before you can really do anything, you must be able to see it first. So I'm going to say that again. Before you can do anything, you must be able to see it first. That can be in your dreams. It can be the small whispers that you hear and you're able to visually see what you heard, but you must have a vision. So today we're going to talk about how vision is defined in every different areas. It can be in your family, in your love life, in your careers. And so, for instance, for a writer, they're imagining different things that they would see as far as a story. They may see the end and not the beginning, and then they sort of fill it in with their dreams. Then someone in technology see beyond now. They have to be able to see beyond what we currently have. They have to find a hole and fill it, find a solution. So what does that start with? It's all with a vision. And for me, in my life, I've always had to have some kind of logical vision so I can determine that's a vision as opposed to a dream. So Dr. Ayanna, how has vision played out in your life? Like, how have you been able to see something as a vision as opposed to a dream?
So for me, my visions always start with a dream. It always starts with either literal dreams that I might be having in my sleep or daydreaming, things of that nature. But for me, it is about the dream first. What I imagine for myself, what I fantasize about, the things that I'm thinking about when I'm working out, on the treadmill and kind of projecting for myself what I want to see in my life, or the things that I dreamt about when I was a little girl. For me, people always ask me about, when did I decide I wanted to become a physician, for instance. And I tell this story about when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Someone asked me, what did I want to be in life? And I said, okay, well, I even want to be a hairdresser, or I want to be a doctor. And that was always the dream for me. And over time, it evolved into a true vision for myself. And obviously, I took the path of becoming a physician and not a hairdresser, although I still love hair. But it started with that dream for myself. And it started with me kind of envisioning myself as being a healer of other people. And it didn't have as much form or definition at that point. But over time, I started to see how that really could come into fruition into my life. So for me, the vision is really honing in on the dream. It's honing in on those aspects of the dream that I can actually make a reality for myself.
Right. That's good. And so for me, when I think about when you go back to childhood as far as stories, because in my life, I've went so many different directions. So I've always been able to dream beyond where I am. So I used to want to be a bodybuilder. Like that was my biggest thing as a tomboy growing up, a bodybuilder. So I think that's why I've worked out my entire life. I've just realized that as I'm thinking about it, I think I just still want to be that bodybuilder. So maybe I just need to just really, get that food and stop drinking sweet tea. And maybe I will become that bodybuilder I want to be.
Maybe. That's another conversation because I'm pretty sure we've had that one.
That bread and sweet tea is holding me back. Okay.
Yeah. How many times have we had that conversation? But okay. That bread, right. The bread and the sweet tea.
Yeah. That's
the kryptonite.
And then I go forward and I think about, okay, even as a child, my sister used to drive her crazy. I had my store, Craft Beauty Shop. I ran it out of my room, drive through out of my window, bedroom room. And my sister was my employee until she got tired of me and walked out. So at that point, I should have known I was always going to be an entrepreneur. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and I always dreamt that I would be in control, the control freak in me, control of my life, even though really you're not in control of your life, but you can be, but in some aspects, you got to let go sometimes. So with vision, I've always looked at being able to produce, being able to implement. And so I think that's why I went so many different directions, because like what we're going to talk about next is seeing a vision, but sort of being limited by what you think your bandwidth is and what you think your resources are at the moment. But it starts with a dream. It starts with imagining during the daytime, at night. Even, sometimes we might just want to dream about being rubbed on. You never know.
I can see my face right now.
There's different aspects, romance.
Lord, how do we get back here?
Flowers, hugs, caresses, kisses. It's all a part of womanhood. We have.
I think it's all a part of to be perfectly honest, I mess with you about it all the time because somehow we always get back to sex. But I think that it is. I think it's humanity, to be perfectly honest. Like everybody, unless you are a person who has a sexual identity where you are asexual, and there are people who have that experience in life. I think in general most people want some level of human connection,
right?
And it's kind of funny that you brought this up because it made me think about something I've been that I have been focusing on my meditation practice recently, and just expanding my meditation practice, something I was listening to Thich Nhat Hanh talk about, and that was presence. And I think it's very relevant for vision as well, is to really be present. And one of the things that he was talking about, and I certainly find it true for myself, is that one of the greatest things that you could offer to people that you love or the people in your life is your presence.
Right.
To be there. And I've expanded that to myself, and my own reflections is in that the greatest thing I offer myself is my own presence.
Right.
The presence of myself, and being really connected to what I want. And that goes back to vision. Having that presence of my body and my mind and my spirit allows me to align myself to my dreams and then to my vision. Mm-hmm. So even though I'm teasing you about the sex part, because, but
you create a lot of vision when you're having sex, though, that, right? You're able to express and let go, which actually allows you to show up better for people the next time you see them.
Okay, I'm going to let you have that. I think that sexual energy is energy, like everything else. It's energy. So
kinetic. It's so moving, so fluid.
It's in there as well. But to your point about intimate, what you were speaking to was intimacy.
Yes.
Really. And so there you will have a dream and vision of intimacy for yourself as well.
Right.
I certainly have had that in my life about what I dreamed for myself in terms of what I have wanted in partnership, before getting married, and what I want in partnership now and in this stage in my life and all of those things. So it is all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, so before we go too far and start having people grab their pearls, we will go ahead.
Listen, if they grabbing their pearls on this, I don't know what to say.
I have to reel myself in. So we want to really talk about during the daytime, like really getting into how do you determine what is a dream? And again, as Dr. Ayanna said, it can start as a dream. Some people are more vivid dreamers. Some people may not be, but you still have thoughts or visions as you sitting at the dinner table, driving your car. It's a little dangerous. I do it a lot and these sort of fade out. But just what things are being spoken to you, how still are you to receive them, and how are you going to move forward and act on those? So when you're thinking, Dr. Ayanna, as far as vision, when you saw a dream, how did you really determine that that is actually a vision and something you need to move on?
I think, well, I know that it came from a number of different sources. Again, some of it came in my dreams because my dream state is very purposeful for me in my life, or at least that's how I have experienced dreams. So I already talked about that, but also how the messaging keeps coming from the environment around me. So whether or not, and I am a believer in, so for me, it's like, who did God put in my path in that moment? And having people being put in my path who speak to something that I haven't shared with them, but they speak to that question that I might have for myself, or experience opportunities that all of a sudden present themselves that were not there before, helps me in crafting my vision, finding synergy with other people. So meeting people who are talking about certain things and it resonates with me. That helps me in defining my vision for myself. But I would say, because I've been doing this now for pretty much my entire adult life, and when I say adult life, I would say starting with college, a big part of my vision building is my meditation practice. Because as you know, I started meditating when we were freshmen in college, and I've been more committed to it or less committed to it in certain periods of my life. But I would say in those moments when I have really been deeply involved in my meditation practice, is in those moments that I'm able to best define my vision for myself and to get more focused in and be able to also block out some of the external noise. Because with dreams, and again, dreams have purpose. Dreams are divine too. Dreams have value, they're tools, but being able to flush out what is just, a passing thought, to your point, and what is something that is really executable at that moment, or has enough, I don't want to say meat, because as well as I do that even these, your early visions oftentimes don't have any meat. They don't have any bones. It's just a concept. But I guess has enough, what would I call it? Inspired thought for me to be able to pull other things into it, to be able to really hone in on the vision in whatever aspect it is in my life.
Right. And one of my biggest issues is, I always have to make sure I have paper, pen around, because when you have some of those, I hate to say fleeting thoughts, but an actual voice that tells you exactly what direction, but if you're too busy to hear it, and this happens to me, if you're too busy to hear it, you'd miss it. That might be your money maker. That might be the thing that's going to change your life. It's going to give you direction. But I know when I'm still enough. So I know you said you started your meditation practice like at 21, college.
I was about
freshman,
17, 18.
17, yeah. Mm-hmm. So with me, having a daughter at 21, I don't think I really slowed down enough probably until 30 to be still enough to hear anything. So what I was doing was, I hear something, I run with it, because I think I can do everything. So I'm running all these different directions. So that's been my practice, really. But I always was able to write. So the stillest I would get is if I'm sitting still, I'm writing all my thoughts, but all my thoughts were always based on intimacy. I thought I was the most intimate person, but most people think I'm the most closed off person because I only let a few people in. So within that space that I was creating on paper was my whole life that I was sort of like trying to get people to fit into. And even my ex-boyfriends would sit there and look at me like, what are you talking about? But if you want us to try it, I'm all down for it. But it's like they didn't really see what I was trying to create. So it was like stories. It was how I saw how my life would be. And then when I had my daughter, it's like it went from that to, okay, hustle, because I have to get all this together for my daughter. And out of that, because I think my daughter was divine, like she was meant to be, because that changed the whole trajectory. And so all my vision and all my steps and everything went a totally different direction to make sure, I thought, just for me to be available for her, to make sure I was an entrepreneur, but not necessarily. I think I was always predestined to be this person that I am. Yeah. And as a result of going through the divorce, then that brought me to yoga that finally made me get still. That was the hardest thing. It took me like 3 months to get still on the mat enough to actually hear myself. So I contribute a lot of my stillness now within myself to yoga. Yeah.
And I think that's important because everybody has to find what resonates with them. Quiets down their spirit. It's sort of ironic that it's yoga for you, because yoga is, in a lot of ways, it's a moving practice. It's a moving meditation. It's for someone who is constantly in movement as you are, and as someone who is so committed to movement as part of your daily self-care practice. So, for people who don't know Inga personally, like, this woman is like super, super fit. We talk about food all the time on the podcast, so you might have a different image of what we look like. But Inga is super, 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 super fit, and has been since really our college years. What I remember is after the baby was born, you got so focused about your bounce back, your snap back.
I was like, where's that six pack? No, back. That first baby snap back.
Playing. I mean, we were young, so I get it. She was not playing. So this has been part of your, has always been part of your, what makes Inga. But back to what the point I was trying to make about the yoga, like, it makes sense that that's what resonates for you in terms of getting still, is that it's meditation and movement. In a way, it's a body meditation. So I think everybody has to be able to find that thing that really makes sense to them, that allows, like I said, allows them to kind of hone in and to get silent, because one of the things I always say is, like, the solutions are in the silence.
Right.
And it's just very difficult, I think, at times, particularly right now, and hopefully I'm not going off on a tangent, but particularly right now with what we have going on with social media, and the internet, and having so much access.
Right.
So, all of these things started to become something when we were at the end of our college, in the mid to late part of our college years.
Right.
Yeah. And, cell phones and all of these things.
Distractions.
The distraction, and also just like the immediacy of information and the immediacy of, people feeling like they gotta have your attention right at that moment. And what I think that's led to is just you're not having any quiet time, any still time, and any privacy in your mind.
Right.
That plus the constant influence of things outside of yourself kind of invading your mental and your spiritual and emotional space can be very corrosive to the spirit, I think, in the mind, because then you start making these unconscious comparisons.
Yep.
People, people curate their lives on social media.
Right.
Very rarely do people post things that puts them in a negative light, and when they do, it's off-putting. Like, yo, why is he or she putting that on? So why you putting your business on social media? But they put all their business on social media anyway. Like, it's the positive stuff. And
I don't even think it's the positive. It's what they're creating.
It's what
we view as positive.
It's either what they're creating that may or may not be real.
Right.
When I say they, I should say we. What we are creating that may or may not be real, or is all the positive, is not showing any of the things that got you to that point. Is not showing the rough and dirty. So, Inga knows for a while, I completely came off of social media for years because I found myself getting into a very dark space as it pertains to social media, because I wasn't being conscious of how I was using it or how I was interacting with it. And and perhaps in some ways even allowing it to make me feel a way about myself. I don't think in its entirety, but at times I know I felt lack. Right. Whether the lack was true or not, that's what I felt. And so getting out of that space in social media allowed me to kind of reconnect, because I didn't have all the external distraction. I didn't have a bunch of opinions. I didn't have likes. I didn't have loves. I didn't have endless information, some of which was not even real information. We know a lot of this stuff is engineered,
Right.
And then in doing that, I was able to come back and just get really quiet. And it just so happens,
and authentic, because we get away from my authentic self.
Yeah, get back to my authentic self. And that was the point that I was about to make, because that also happened to coincide with a huge personal transformation for myself and getting really, really real about me. And some of the choices I was making for myself that were just disempowering on every single level. So, the quiet is, I know they say everything ain't for everybody, but that's one of those things. I think that's for everybody. Everybody got to get quiet.
Right. Yeah, because I know, like, for instance, I read a lot of Deepak Chopra, and he's talking about the ego. So this whole social media thing has pumped up everybody's ego. So everyone's operating from their ego. Oh, let me see how many likes I can get. Let me put this on social media to see if they like this or if they like this and the other. So you're getting so far away from who you are authentically that your whole purpose as to why you're here, how you're supposed to affect people, gets lost in the shuffle. Even for me, we're getting pulled so many different directions. That stillness and that quiet that you're talking about. I say oftentimes, I tell a lot of people, I haven't seen Inga all week. I haven't been able to talk to Inga. I done talked to everybody else on the phone. I've done all this. I've done this. I take care of this. Yeah, you feel like a superwoman, I guess, but you're stressed out and just exhausted when you finally get back to yourself. So how is a vision supposed to integrate itself within all that busyness?
But it's so funny you say that, because, and I'm sorry, y'all probably hear my wonderful contractor on my house walking around in my house getting stuff done. But listen, we got to record and get stuff done. So
exactly.
But that being said, it's funny you say that, because I used to be in that space. We both did it because we are cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. So I was running, jump, running, jump, running,
right,
all the time.
mm-hmm.
And parenting and partnering and, doctoring and daughtering and friending and all this other stuff, right? I was given to everybody all the time. And none of that time was reserved for me, because you said, I haven't seen Inga all week. And I just was lost. I was completely lost. Not on the outside, not on the surface, not in ways that people actually could pick up on, but in the ways that was actually killing me. Like it was slowly killing me in every dimension of my humanness,
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the moment that I took that step back and returned to the things that I understood were integral to my self-care practice, which were, daily exercise and daily meditation practice, is when I got back to center. And what I realized was that, and ended up being the tool to help me to get to the vision, right? To help me to get to all the other business. Like I'm much more effective as a businesswoman because I return to self every day. Mm-hmm. I die to self every night. I return to self. I'm reborn every day. I sit in that space of oneness with myself. I serve myself first. I go to the gym. I work out. I sit in my meditation practice, and I love on me first. I hear me. I create a platform for my own voice and for God's voice every day. Nothing else supersedes that. And by doing that, I realized that I became more available to all the things and the people I served, because I served me first. You cannot draw water from an empty well. And that includes your entrepreneurship life. That includes your creative life. That includes, your whatever. You cannot do that if you're so empty that you have nothing to give. We live in a society that really values this mentality of I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Right.
Well, you ain't gonna do nothing when you dead, because you dead. Like I used to live by that mantra. Like, I don't have time to sleep. I'm too busy being great. I'm too busy being busy. I'm too busy.
And I still sort of like that statement, but I like to just play hard in that moment.
Play hard, work hard is good.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about balance, Inga.
Yeah.
You have to have some balance.
Yeah.
And the more you live out of that space of balance, however you create it for yourself, the more you live out of that space of that balance, the more you slide into that dark hole.
And that's why I was in the dark hole because of COVID. I'm telling you, I'm a gym rat. I'm like gym, bike, tennis, whatever that I can sweat. When I can sweat, I'm at my best self. People look at me like I'm a little hamster on a wheel. I'm just running. But I'm so in touch with God in that sweaty space. When I lost that, I thought I was going to go crazy. We got to stay in the house. I got to go work out in my garage with nobody to compete with by me. Oh my God, I'm still in withdrawal. I'm always in a silent competition with everybody in the gym. Like, they don't know I'm competing with them. But when I walk out away from that gym, yeah, come on, baby, I got you. I'm missing that space. Like, I need that space. Hot yoga, where you just come out sweaty. I've accomplished everything all day just in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
just where you find your peace, that you can also just get rubbed on all night. Smell some cologne.
Listen, I'm going to, so, okay. I'm looking at her and she's looking at me right now, right? So as soon as she took that breath, I saw her face. I knew where the conversation was about to devolve into. And I just took a breath, because I was like, Lord, just let her keep it like PG-13.
Yeah.
Whatever she's about to say right now.
Well, I just like smelling cologne. I'm gonna leave it at that. And so,
but you know what? Let's talk about this for a minute, because as a woman, for me, in my experience as a woman, who identifies as a heterosexual woman, like I love men.
Right.
I love men. I love male energy. And not just like sexually,
right.
But, as human beings.
Right.
I just love male energy. And it's funny because I'm a boy mom. Mm-hmm. That's all God gave me was a bunch of boys. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sorry, because my contract is talking to me. He's making hand gestures, and I'm like, bruh, what do you want? I just love male energy, and I find it very balancing. I have my circle of female friends, but I also have my circle of male friends. And then, of course, I've had partners in my life like everybody else. But that energy, that balancing energy is very important. Inga talks about, she's talking about getting rubbed on and all of that. And again, that has its place. But I think also it's just communing with other people. It's communing with their energy and being intimate. Intimacy is, and you spoke on this before, like it's part of it. It's part of the process. It's that human continuum.
Yeah, see, because the thing of it, that Dr. Ayanna is very more open than I am to people. Like, she's a hugger. She's more of a free spirit when it comes to people.
I'm a kisser. Let me tell you, I could probably count on my hands the number of times that Inga has allowed me to kiss her on her face in the 20 some odd years of being friends. And it's gotta be like a sneak attack.
My kids love it. She spoils them with hugs and stuff. I'm more of a closed situation of my guy. Like, whoever my guy is, he sees me different than other people see me. So if they see me with him, they're like, Inga? Really? But it's like that. When I say smelling cologne, it's the conversation. That person seeing you. I'm big on being seen, like not seeing you like on social media, but you see me at my core and you appreciate me at my core. And us being like boss moms, people that we hustle, when you can come home and you can just go to sleep and know that the other person is protecting you and you can just fall out and go to sleep, that is like the best sleep. I don't care. Hands down. Laying on a chest with cologne on it. I will take it all day. And I'm telling you, the next day when I show up to work, my employees and business people like, man, Inga, your spirit is great today. Because, you walk around on your toes. You done had vision. You tiptoeing in like what? I could take anything today. Dr. Ayanna, you can always tell when she's had that interaction because her heels be popping the next day. Feet all out, toes pointed. Walking high.
He's up here making stuff up.
Afro on fleek, like what? I can tackle the whole world today because mama is straight.
Look at shiny. No, I too am a person who really enjoys intimacy in all of my relationships. And right. And certainly, I think I'm less oriented to sort of like that protection experience, but certainly just feeling seen and feeling heard is also a theme for me. Like, is a life theme for me. Right. To be able to know that the people who I hold most closely to myself see me. They see me, they accept me, and they embrace me, and that they feel the same thing from me as well. And it goes back to what I said about presence, so yeah. So vision is a multifactorial, multisensory experience to get to. And I think the point that we're both trying to make here is that in order to get there, you have to have enough clarity to hear your own voice. Mm-hmm. And when you hear your own voice, that you have enough discernment also, and this is, we were going to talk about this in terms of accountability, but you have enough discernment to have, be able to be open to allow people to give you that piece of themselves, those constructive points of opinion, and to be able to give you a little bit of guidance, but still to know whether or not that resonates truly with yourself and with your spirit and is a direction that you want to go in. So you're not being led around by somebody else,
Right.
Because everybody, the older I get, and I hope the wiser that I get, I understand that everybody has something to give. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just a couple of words or an experience or a look or them sharing something with you that then resonates back with you in your own spirit. But you don't have to take all of it in either. Right. There needs to be some boundaries. You have to create healthy boundaries to say, okay, well, yes, that works for me. This does not. That's not the same as you can't tell me nothing. That's two different things, right? And so getting still, getting quiet, being present with yourself, being present with the people who love and reaffirm you and embrace you with positive energy, having people with whom you feel accountable. So, I have accountability to Inga. Inga has accountability to me. And it goes beyond our business dealings with one another. It really is about the sisterhood. There is a level of accountability there. Right. And I would say there are, a number of different people in my life who there's a level of trust between that person and myself, where there is a level of accountability. You do not have that with everybody, and everybody can't have it with you.
Right.
But you do definitely need to have those people where there's unconditional love there, and therefore the accountability grows out of that.
And I want to add the discipline to follow through. Yes. On your vision, the discipline to sit your behind down and be able to work out and flush out the vision. Yeah. And the last thing and most important, don't take on other people's limitations as your own.
No, but say that a little bit louder for the people in the back.
Do not take on other limitations as your own. As somebody told me, your much might not be they much. They can't handle what you can handle. Mm-hmm. Tell them to kick rocks down the road, and you're going to keep pushing the direction you need.
That'll preach right there. Listen, because it's so funny you said that. I done had so many people who try to tell me what I can't do, and I'm like, what? Who are you talking about?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, are you talking to me? No, that's what you can't do. Let me tell you what I can't do.
Yeah.
What have you. And so, that's always a funny experience for me. But that being said, yes, I love that you said that. That's really, that really resonates.
So Dr. Ayanna, what are we doing? What are we talking about on our next show? Because we're going to be live. You're going to see our afros. You're going to see our face. It's going to be beat. We're going to be cute. What are we talking about?
You set these people up for some high expectations when they're looking like somebody being sick. So the next podcast is really going to be a podcast / video cast. Mm-hmm. Because our podcast on Spotify will continue to be audio, but we will have the video component of that for the YouTube version of that. And at that time, we will have a special guest with us, and we will talk about the execution of vision at that time. Mm-hmm. How do we gather constructive points of how to start to make these things happen in our lives, right? Okay.
Yes. How we push on with no limitations.
Yes. All right. So Inga, can you please remind the people how to find you on all your platforms? Because that's important.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Inga Keep It Moving. Keep It Moving. Yeah. MOVIN. Inga Keep It Moving. MOVIN.
That's .com?
No, that's the IG. And on the website is keep it moving, MOVIN.com.
Yes. All right.
Let's keep it moving, people.
Yes. And you can find me on Dr. Ayanna. That's DRAYANNA. S as in Sam, K as in kangaroo, M as in Mary.com. And at Dr. Ayanna SKM on IG. You can also find us, obviously, on the $35 Journey on Spotify, as well as YouTube, and also at the $35 Journey on IG as well.
Yes. And we might put our toast on there for you to look at.
And why would we do that, Inga? I don't know. Right. Okay. So, all right, guys. So that is the end of our podcast today. We are really looking forward to meeting with you again the next time that we post. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop by any of our social media or internet resources and ask questions. And we hope that whatever you're doing in your life, that you are well and you remain well, and that you're out here living abundantly. So anything else, Inga?
That's all. Let's be interdependent and let's promote entrepreneurship. Own your own shit.
No. Okay. And that was why we are no longer PG on this podcast. Goodbye.